Good morning, friends. Stephen Ben-Nun here with Israeli News Live over on Patreon. And as I've said so many times before, there's some things we just like to share here on Patreon with our friends, mainly because you are a far more objective audience when it comes to, intel type information. And so I'm going to share a little bit more information with you guys today. There's just a ton of information that I want to be able to share, but it's always finding the time to be able to put that information out here for you. So this morning I wanted to get into yet another very interesting story that you may not be aware of. And it has, the article on your screen, 3,200-year-old Egyptian-built fortress found in Israel, only just kind of sets the stage for us here because this fortress, along with many, many other situations or discoveries inside of Israel, proves the fact that the Egyptian presence was clearly there. But yet, many, many years ago, and I don't know exactly when, there was a device that was discovered in Israel that was brought to the United States. It was taken down into Cheyenne Mountain, and there, that device was used by our government there to try to break into, what would you call that? Break into, I'm trying to pull this up for you so you can kind of see this as well. Maybe just show some images here of Cheyenne Mountain there. That's not really the one I was thinking about, but still, that's not it either. Well, maybe that's just good enough for right now to kind of give you an idea. Out there in Colorado, underneath Cheyenne Mountain, we have a very massive underground base there. And while in that, what we had done is we had discovered this thing over in Israel, or somebody discovered it, but we ended up bringing it back here to the United States. And we had the Egyptian hieroglyphics on this device on how the device actually worked. So we took some of our best scientists, went down about 30 stories deep into Cheyenne Mountain and began to try to see if we couldn't use this device to contact other worlds there or see if we could actually go into these other dimensions. This was back in 1984 that this took place. And the device actually worked somewhat. It's kind of really weird, kind of like a Ouija board, which is pretty demonic in itself. But it used resonant frequencies, and the scientists had discovered very quickly that what it was doing was like sending a message, not so much being able to go into another dimension, but was sending a message, and they got a response. But they got a response that they were not anticipating. What they got was a very demonic creature that was able to come to them as a result. From what I was told, every one of the scientists that were involved in that operation were killed down inside that shaft, deep inside of Cheyenne Mountain. I was told that about 30 truckloads of concrete were poured down into that shaft to seal that shaft to keep that creature there so that it could never get out. There are some sinister things that go on in our government, and not of the likes of what we're dealing with even now. And the reason why I bring this up in the first place is because of the destabilizing the ether. And again, this is only just for a visual for you. This particular website is not any related thing, but destabilizing the eyes of resonant frequency through infrasound vibrations. The thing that what is going on, and this, like I said, this is just for more as a prop to kind of try to express what I want to say to you, is that all this stretching of the earth and things of that nature there is believed to be caused either by one of the two or possibly both, and that is the hadron colliders that we are running here on the earth. Like I said, there's 6 of those that I am aware of, of which most of those I know where they are. We have one in Antarctica. We have 2 here, actually 3 here in the United States. I actually discovered where a new one was recently. California, Texas, and New York. That's where the three are here in the United States. You have the one in Switzerland. So that gives you 5 of those right there. The 6th one, I do not know where the 6th one actually is. That's what I've been told thus far. That's how many that there actually are. All of these are full operational, contrary to what some people would think. The one in Texas is not working. It was built but never put into operation. That's totally false there. It is believed, though, that's what's causing this destabilization, and that's only a conjecture from one of the nuclear physicists that I know that has some contact with the folks that are working on that. DARPA has a lot to do with these projects here. And of course, they're trying to go into those other dimensions, and of course, very successfully so. And as a result, though, they are allowing demonic entities to come back in. As I shared with you just recently, 2 scientists died over in Switzerland when they had some type of, as they put it, nefarious, this quote unquote nefarious entity that was trying to take over and enter into our dimension. They did successfully shut the Hadron Collider down, but it just goes to show how demonic this type of device is. And with that and the frequencies that the Earth has been receiving from space, and as well, we have the different pyramids, like the Black Pyramid under Alaska. All these different pyramids have been sending out signals between each other. I'm talking about from Antarctica to the Egyptian pyramids of Egypt, even to the pyramid there under the mountains there in Alaska. They've all been sending signals to one another. I'm going to do a biblical teaching on this because I really feel like that what we see in biblical prophecy is that these demons that are underneath, say, for example, the Euphrates River, are released. And Satan, we know, he's cast down to earth, and he knows he has but a short period of time. You know, is this how all this takes place, just because of this ungodly scientific experiments that they're doing, what they're causing? I don't know the answer to that for sure, but I do find it very interesting. One other tidbit I'll share with you before jumping out of here. Will China be the next world superpower? In a recent meeting I was in, I found out that this was a discussion made back in actually, oh, by the way, I do stand corrected on one thing. I got my dates mixed up because I was thinking of the China issue there. 1982 is when the event happened where they brought that demonic entity in under Cheyenne Mountain using that device discovered in Israel. It was 1984 that a good friend of mine was in a meeting there in Washington, D.C., when it was being discussed that China would be the next world superpower. Yeah, believe it or not. I'll go into that with you guys another time here because I'd like to discuss with you that just about the nations. China's not a rogue nation. It is a managed nation. So maybe I can talk about that next time. The nations that are managed, those nations that are not, those nations that have been taken down because they would not cooperate with the elitist of the world there that is ran by a family called